Hi, this is Mr. Carlstrom. We are back to our next mission for the GEO-FS flight simulator. And just a quick review here. The first thing you want to do is go to Options and you go to Controls. Make sure you have the keyboard clicked and then go ahead and close that. Next thing you want to do is go to Aircraft and you want to go to the Boeing 737. Choose one of these different ones, KLM, United Airlines. I'm going to go ahead and choose United Airlines. Next thing I would like you to do, and you can see there's quite a bit of traffic on the runway right now. Right up here in this corner, there's roughly 206 other individuals flying here, so that's why you see so many people, or so many different planes. All right, next thing I want you to do is go to Location, and you're going to click on the runway, and you are going to choose I would like you to choose Miami International Airport. Now you are on the runway at Miami, and what we're going to do is if I get the navigation map up here, you'll see that right now here's my airplane, here's the runway. I am pointing toward the Atlantic Ocean, and what we're going to do here is we are going to take off, and we are going to fly outside of the ocean, or you are, and then we're going to come back around, and then we're going to come back and land the airplane. So you have to take off and then land. So let's go through a few principles to do this so that you'll understand what to do. All right, I'm going to leave the map on for right now. Actually, I'll turn it off and then I'll turn it back on here in a second. Okay, again, remember, use that cheat sheet if you had to. It's on under your materials. 9 for full power. And I am going to go ahead and begin. We'll go right through the other planes that are in the way here. And we're going to go ahead and take off. Using the scroll keys to go up and down, and I'm also checking my airspeed. Remember, with Boeing 737, airspeed for taking off is going to be around 175 to 200. When I get to that 175, 200, I'm going to start to use my down arrow key to start to scroll up and lift up the nose of my aircraft, and there I'm getting ready to take off. I'm going to hit the letter G. I'm going to raise my landing gear so I don't have too much drag on the aircraft, and I'm going to, now you'll see that I'm starting to fly out over past the Atlantic Ocean. It takes you just about a few seconds to get out that way. Looking at my altimeter, I'm at about 1,000 feet, and I'm going to go ahead and just keep an eye on that. I don't want to get too high. I would say I'd probably want to watch that altimeter. I'd probably be around, I don't want to be more than 4,000 feet. I'm going to actually start to level out my plane right now. So if you look at the rate of climb, rate of descent indicator, which is the fourth one over, you'll see I'm going up about 200 feet a minute. And I'm starting to go down, and that's where I want to be. Okay, I'm just about over the ocean, and right there in front of me is Miami Beach, and I'm going to go ahead, and as soon as I get out over that, I am going to start to turn. I'm going to hit the letter N on my keyboard, and there you'll see it's my plane, and I'm just about over Miami Beach, and I'm going to start to turn. As I begin my turn, I can turn to the left or to the right, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this around. And one of the things that's going to be interesting is that you're going to see some of the features of the Miami area, which we'll talk about if you haven't been there before, or if you have, we'll talk about that in a second. And we're going over Miami to be tempted that we would love to be at that beach right now. One thing you want to keep in mind is an aircraft does not turn on a dime. Heard that saying before, where you can just turn really quickly. It takes a long way. The radius of this turn is approximately about 3 to 4 miles. That's a pretty sharp turn for an aircraft, especially with an aircraft this size. So it's not going to be an instant turn. It does take a few minutes to do this. I would say this assignment or this mission is going to take you probably about 7 to 10 minutes to complete, to make the turn over the ocean, come back around, and then land the aircraft. You are going to see that there are other aircraft in the area, and again, it is a live shot of what's going on. There's another airport in front of us here. You don't want to land at that one. We want to go back to the Miami International Airport. What's going to be interesting about this is I'm looking at my navigation map, and when I get to probably directly west on my compass, as I'm right about at west now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to straighten that out. I've kind of haven't paid attention to my altimeter. You got to keep an eye on these instruments. Is that my altimeter? I'm at about a mile up above. I want to go ahead and drop that down. I want to be around 4,000 feet. I want to get up too high, otherwise it's going to be really hard for me to get ready for my landing. And another thing I can do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to reduce my power down to 40%. I don't need to be at full power anymore. Full power is for when you take off. You can reduce that as you're in the midst of your flying. Okay, I'm just about ready to, when I get out here, you're going to notice in terms of landmarks in front of me, you'll see there's a big brown patch in the area in front of me. It's green underneath me. Miami, to the west of Miami, is something called the Florida Everglades, where there is nothing out there. It's quite a contrast in how we have all this green and roads, and all of a sudden when you get out past all that, there is nothing. That is a part of the national park system and forest, national forest, and so there is nothing, it's all protected. When we get out to the Everglades, or right around that line, that's when we're going to start to make our turn back to the airport. Again, this only is about a 5 or 7 minute activity, but the key is we want to make sure that we're landing this. When you get to the end of this flight, you're going to want to take a screenshot of you on the runway that you have landed. So we're just going to go through some of the principles here of flight and for landing, and something similar to what a pilot would have to do. So let's go ahead and we'll continue this. We're just about over the Everglades, and I'm going to go ahead and start to make my turn. The other thing you're going to notice here is I have these blue radiuses that are blue circles or radiuses that are and you'll see it in the center of that circle is the Miami International Airport. So I can also use these blue lines here to kind of navigate me in making my turns. And I'm looking at my altimeter. I'm at 4,000 feet. This is probably about the time I'm going to want to start to make my descent as well. And I'm dropping down a little too fast, so I want to drop about 100 to 200. That 1 to 2, I want that arrow on the rate of descent indicator be at between 1 and 2. And I'm just going to keep an eye on my navigation map and my instruments as I do this, as I get ready to make that turn. And right now I'm doing I'm using everything as the instruments and the map that's on my screen. I'm not doing too much visually, like if I was driving a car, I'd be using the windshield, looking out the windshield to see my direction. I'm pretty much focusing on the instruments and my navigation map. Okay, I'm going to start to be making this turn, and you will see here in a little bit, the airport's going to start to come up here, and I'm going to get rid of my navigation map right now. And I'm looking at my rate of descent. I'm going to go ahead and decrease my power. And I want to get down right now at this point, probably between closer to 1,000 feet. So I won't descend too fast. You're going to see the airport coming up here in a little bit. At this point, I want to lower my landing gears again. There is the runway right in front of me. We're off to my left. And I'm about 1,500 feet. And again, I'm using the scroll keys to kind of line myself up here. You can see it is a very busy airport at this time. There is over 200 people in the Miami area flying right now, 200 other students, and also actual aircraft. And at this time, what I'll do is I'm going to start to increase and decrease my power. So that's the numbers 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 9. That will help me control my rate of descent as well. Go ahead and reduce that. And if you've ever been in an airplane before, you will hear as the plane's getting ready to land, you'll hear the pilot, what we call throttling up. throttling down. He's going to increase the engine power, decrease the engine power. That's so he can, kind of keep an eye on that altimeter. So right now I'm at 600 feet, about where I want to be at this point. Let's start to make my turns for the runway. And it seems like it's going pretty slow right here. We are moving at about 160 knots. So we're still moving pretty fast here. If we were down closer to the buildings, you would begin to see that. If I want to get down here, I'm watching my altimeter. I should be starting to do a rate of descent here. I want to keep that rate of descent again between 1 and 2. It's 100 and 200 feet per minute. Now I'm going to be using that, so I'm going to keep throttling up here and throttling down. And then when I get onto the runway here, I want to show you what the next thing you do to bring this plane to a stop. You're just about there. At 100 feet, I'm a little bit low. You're going to start to see my shadow here soon. So I'm going to throttle up a little bit. Now I'm going to throttle down. I'm almost over the runway. And the next thing I'm going to do is I want to come down too hard. And I'm going to be a little bit short. That's okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead. Next thing I want to do is hit the letter B. Those are my boosters, or you can also say air brakes. I'm going to hit the letter 0 or the number 0 to cut my engine so that I'm idling. I am now hitting the space bar, and if you look over on the lower right-hand side, you'll see it says spoilers and brakes. The space bar is the brakes. You see how the brake one is going, so I'm taking my finger off there, and that's going to I'm starting to slow down my plane. I'm looking at my airspeed indicator. I'm at 25 knots, almost to 0. I want to get this stopped right at the end of the runway, and I am stopped. At this point, I want to go ahead and take a screenshot of my airplane, and letter B, I don't need the boosters anymore. Let me tell you what the boosters are for. Those are to create more friction, so we don't have as much air traveling. It's causing more drag on the plane, which is going to slow the plane up. And so that's what we're trying to do, is use as many different ways as possible to slow such a massive heavy object. Do that, but using the boosters help to create more drag. All right, at this point, take a screenshot, and then you want to go ahead and email that screenshot to your instructor, just to show that you have landed your aircraft. Hey, have a great time, and email any of your instructors.